To Tasha Williams, the lawyer read, I leave the house, the companies, and the accounts. Everything. The room stopped breathing. Crystal light shook across the long table as every head turned. I sat in my thrift store dress, hands gripping my purse. 2 days earlier, my boss, Mr. Chikwudi Chuck Okeke, the quiet billionaire who let me pack extra plantain for his grandson, had been buried. Now his family stared at me like I had stolen the sun. A small sound came from the corner where 5-year-old Namdi pressed into his aunt's sleeve. His father, David, leaned forward. That cannot be correct. The nephew in the silver suit, Keen, smiled without warmth. The house manager, Olabisi, stood behind my chair like a shield. The lawyer, Ms. Alvarez, continued. A video, sealed instructions, a lockbox. I knew that box. I had hidden it, and I knew why. 3 months earlier, I found a job on a wrinkled flyer by the grocery store door. Babysitter needed in River Oaks. Discretion required. Good pay. I called. Come tomorrow, the woman said. Be on time. I borrowed a blazer and rode 2 buses. The River Oaks gate opened. Inside stood a house that seemed to hold its breath. When I met Mr. Okeke, he did not ask for my resume. He asked if I was hungry. We ate in the bright kitchen, jollof and grilled fish. Call me Mr. Okeke, he said. Know that I see people before titles. He asked about my mother's health, my brother's school, my favorite book. When he brought in Namdi, the boy behind his leg, gripping a lion backpack. He talks when he trusts you, Mr. Okeke said. I crouched. Hi, Namdi. I'm Tasha. I like cartoons and plantain chips. You, he whispered. Lego, then peeped at his grandfather. A small smile warmed the room. That first week I learned routines. We walked the stone path around the koi pond. When he felt scared, he held the lion's ear and counted to 5. I counted with him. I hummed a lullaby at bedtime. The house breathed with quiet rules. Soft shoes, closed doors, voices low when Mr. Okeke climbed the stairs. Sometimes I heard late meetings in the study, and suitcase wheels across marble at odd hours. On a Tuesday, a note waited on the island. Tasha, come to the library at 6. Bring your honesty. Sio. The library smelled of old paper. Photos of Lagos and Houston lined the walls. He rested a cane across his knees. Tell me a true thing about a day you wanted to quit, and did not, he said. I told him about taking 2 buses in the rain to sit my GED test. He nodded. Good. People who keep going are rare. After that, he asked my opinion on small matters, the gentlest tutor, a fair kitchen rota, whether a new guard greeted staff with respect. I did not know why he asked me. He listened as if my words carried weight. Family moved in and out. David wore expensive calm. Amaka, the aunt with warm eyes, brought bright shirts for Namdi and built Lego cities on the floor. Keen practiced charm in mirrors. Whispers gathered in the halls. The first sign of trouble was a black SUV idling at the gate too long. The driver looked up once. Our eyes met through the bars. That evening, voices rose in the study, assets, guardianship, timelines. The next morning, Mr. Okeke walked slower. Old engines make new noises, he joked. Then he handed me a small metal box and a key the size of my thumbnail. Safekeeping, he said. If I am not here, tell Ms. Alvarez to check behind the poems. I hid the box on the library shelf behind a slim book called Palm Wine Letters. It felt like a game until thunder rolled that night, and Namdi woke crying. I sat by his bed, humming while rain tapped the windows. When I rose to leave, headlights paused at the curb. The same SUV, a different driver, cap higher, face watching the house like it owed him an answer. 2 days later, Mr. Okeke missed breakfast. By noon, an ambulance carried him away. The house filled with polite panic. Phones ringing, shoes hurrying, chefs whispering prayers. I stayed with Namdi, building a block tower as tall as the lower bunk. At dusk, the call came. Auntie Beezy listened and closed her eyes. It is finished, she said. We buried him under a live oak. After the burial came trays of food, extra hugs, and eyes on me that did not feel kind. Ms. Alvarez told us to meet Monday. There's a video, she said. All weekend I dreamed of the library and the small box. I kept hearing his voice. Bring your honesty. Monday arrived with a hot sun. The conference room smelled of lemon. We took our seats. The door clicked shut. Now Ms. Alvarez set a remote on the table. Before the will, she said, Mr. Okeke asked that we play his message. The screen came alive. He sat in the library, cane resting. If you are watching this, he said, I did not make a home. A rustle moved through the room. I choose my heir with open eyes. I choose the person who protected what mattered most when money tried to buy it. Some will fight this. Still, I choose. He looked straight into the lens, and for a heartbeat it felt like he was looking only at me. You will hear a name in a moment, he said. Before you do, know this. The person I named kept my grandson safe while danger waited at the gate. Across the table, Keen's smile fell. Behind us, the lock turned with a quiet click, as if someone wanted the room to stay closed. Ms. Alvarez reached for the next folder. The video paused on Mr. Okeke's calm face. And the person I name is... No one moved. The pause video held Mr. Okeke's calm face like a promise. The door's new lock sound still floated in the air. Ms. Alvarez lifted the remote, pressed play, and his voice returned, steady as rain. And the person I name is Tasha Williams. Chairs scraped. Keen's smile cracked. David's jaw clenched so hard I heard a click. Amaka's hand flew to her chest. Behind me, Auntie Beezy whispered, God sees. The video continued. If you are angry, breathe before you speak. I did not choose blood. I chose character. Tasha kept my grandson safe when others sold our safety for money. She told the truth when lies looked easier. Where I leave her, I leave to protect Namdi's future. She will know what to do. The screen went black. Ms. Alvarez folded her hands. There is more. The will requires that we retrieve a small box in the library and open it here. The box will settle any questions about intent. Her eyes found mine. Tasha, do you know where it is? My mouth was dry. Behind the poems, I said. Palm wine letters. Keen stood. This is a joke. She is a babysitter. She has been here 3 months. His voice was smooth, but his eyes were hard. My uncle would never. Sit down, David said quietly. He had not blinked since my name was spoken. Ms. Alvarez, this was unacceptable. We will contest. You have every right to try, she replied. But first we follow instructions. Namdi slid off his chair and came to me, small fingers curling around my sleeve. He pressed a lion backpack to his chest. Count to 5, he whispered. I nodded. We counted together. Soft. Auntie Beezy's hand found my shoulder. We rose. 2 guards joined us, and Ms. Alvarez chose Amaka as a witness. In the hallway, cold air hummed through the vents. I could hear my own footsteps. At the library door, the guard scanned the hall, then opened it. The room smelled of cedar and old paper. Sun laid warm squares on the carpet. I went straight to the shelf. My hand shook only a little. Palm wine letters slid free with a sigh. Behind it, the metal box waited, dull and heavy. The thumb-sized key in my pocket fit, like it had been born there. The lid lifted. On top lay a folded paper with my name. Under it, a flash drive and a smaller key on a red ribbon. There was also a crayon drawing, a big house, a tree, a small figure holding hands with a taller one. In shaky letters, me plus Tasha plus Grandpa. I felt my throat close. Amaka touched the drawing with one finger, eyes wet. He drew this last week, she murmured. I opened the letter. The handwriting was steady. Tasha, if this reaches you, thank you for seeing the boy before the money. I saw the night you moved him from his bed, when the window latch was lifted. I saw how you asked no permission to protect him, then told me the truth in the morning. The flash drive holds names, amounts, and faces. Play it only with Ms. Alvarez present. The small key opens a safe behind a map of Lagos. If you accept what I give, you accept guardianship until Namdi's father is cleared to protect him without compromise. If you refuse, everything goes to the Anya Foundation for Girls' Schools. Do not fear your smallness. Use it to slip through doors pride cannot enter. Sio. The room swayed for a heartbeat. I remembered that night. The storm, the headlights, the chill at the window. The latch had not fallen by accident. I had lifted the sleeping boy and carried him to the guest room, heart banging in my chest. In the morning I told Mr. Okeke, straight and plain. He closed his eyes, then kissed Namdi's hair. "Thank you," he said. "Do not mention this to anyone." In the present. The guard cleared his throat. "Ma'am, the front cameras were offline for 20 minutes that night," he said to Ms. Alvarez. "We thought it was weather." "We think many things," she said. "Bring the drive to the conference room." "No copies." On the walk back, my legs felt like borrowed wood. In the corridor, Keen stood with his phone pressed to his ear, whispering too low to catch words. He ended the call when he saw us and rearranged his face into concern. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "We have what we need," Ms. Alvarez said. Inside the conference room, the air was thinner. David sat upright, hands steepled, eyes calculating. "If this drive is what she claims," he said, "it will prove you're—" He searched for a word that did not cut him. "Misunderstanding." Ms. Alvarez plugged the drive into the laptop and turned the screen so we could all see. A folder opened. Security. Another. Parole. Another. Private. She double-clicked private. Videos appeared, each labeled by date and time. She chose one from the night of the storm. The footage showed the exterior of the house, the glow of lightning, the dark block of the SUV at the curb. A figure in a rain poncho approached the side gate. He knew which bricks to press. The view changed to a hallway camera. A tall shape moved with the hush of a person who knew the floor. At Namdi's door, the figure paused, then reached for the latch. His head lifted once, like he heard something. Maybe my whisper counted 5. He turned toward the camera. The face filled the screen. He pulled off the poncho hood. Water traced his jaw. Someone inhaled sharply. The room tilted. The man on the screen was not a stranger from the street. He was one of ours. The face on the screen belonged to someone I knew too well. "Uche," Auntie Beezy whispered, her hand flying to her mouth. The night supervisor. Uche had taught Namdi how to kick a ball without knocking over flower pots. He teased the cooks in Pidgin and called me Madam GD after I told him about the rain-soaked test day. On the video, rain ran down his cheekbones as he leaned into the camera, then turned the latch on Namdi's window like he'd practiced. David stood so fast his chair skidded. "Play the audio." "There's no audio on this camera," Ms. Alvarez said, voice level. "But there are more files." She opened another clip. This one showed the service gate after midnight. Same storm, wiper smearing the lens. A second figure stepped from the SUV's shadow. He wore a cap pulled low. Uche passed him something small. The man counted it with his thumb, then pocketed it and looked up. The cap slipped for a second. Keen swore under his breath. Too late to arrange his face. Amaka let out a small, wounded sound. The man was Keen. "That angle distorts," Keen said quickly. "This is ridiculous. Anyone could." Ms. Alvarez clicked to a folder labeled payments. A spreadsheet filled the screen, neat lines of dates and bank names. "Brightland Holdings," she read. "Transfers to you, Olabisi Uche, every Friday for 7 weeks. The account owner for Brightland is a shell, but the registration agent is the same law office that formed KX Logistics, Mr. Kino Keke's company." Keen laughed without joy. "You combed through my business? On what authority?" "On your late uncle's," she said. I felt the room sway. The edge of the table pressed into my thighs like a rail. Namdi slid closer and touched my elbow. "Is Uche bad?" he asked, small voice trying not to be afraid. I crouched to him. "Sometimes people make wrong choices." I said, "We will keep you safe." David's eyes never left the screen. "Play the rest," he said. The next clip showed another night. Uche again, tugging the side gate. The camera flickered. A shadow moved in the hall toward the boys' room, and then nothing. The feed cut to black for exactly 20 minutes. When it came back, The hall was empty. The window latch set wrong. Cameras don't cut out like that by themselves. One of the guards muttered. Ms. Alvarez closed the laptop. We have enough to continue Mr. Okeke's instructions. Tasha, the safe? We moved to the library. The air smelled of cedar and rain. My hands shook as I lifted the map of Legos from the wall. Behind it, sunk into plaster, waited a small square safe. The red ribbon key turned with a soft metal sigh. Inside lay a leather ledger, 2 sealed envelopes, and a thin black phone wrapped in paper. On the paper, in Mr. Okeke's careful hand. If you are Tasha, break the seal. If not, close this and walk away. My name sat on both envelopes. The first said open in front of witnesses. I broke the seal and unfolded a notarized document. Ms. Alvarez read aloud. I, Chikwudi Okeke, appoint Natasha Williams as temporary guardian of my grandson, Namdi, in the event of credible risk to his safety caused by negligence or collusion from internal actors. This authority stands until a probate judge reviews the evidence or until Namdi's father, David Okeke, is cleared of conflict. She is authorized to remove the child from the premises if immediate danger is present and contact Detective Amina Bello, HBD Family Crime Unit, whose number is enclosed. Silence pressed on us. David rubbed his forehead. He thought I was compromised, he said, half to himself. By who? Ms. Alvarez lifted the ledger. Inside were neat entries in fountain pen, dates, sums, names. Some lines had only initials. Others spelled out fully. Brightland, KX Logistics. You, Obasai. One line made my lungs forget how to work. R.A., housekeeper cousin. $4,000. Errands. Beezy stared, shocked. My sister's boy works night shift, but... She sagged. I will ask him, she said, voice small. I opened the second envelope. It held a single page and a passport photo of Uche younger without his tired eyes. The note said, if you are reading this, someone you trusted traded our safety. Do not argue with greed. Move the boy. Call Detective Bello. There's a car in the second garage under the gray tarp, keys in the glove box. Leave by the service road. Do not stop at the gate if the men in black jackets are present. Sio. Water roared in my ears. He knew they'd try again, I said. And he knew who he couldn't trust, Ms. Alvarez replied. She turned to David. Mr. Okeke, this document doesn't accuse you. It protects your son if anyone around you is forcing your hand. David's shoulders slumped. He pinched the bridge of his nose. Brightland pitched me a family security package, he said slowly. I refused. A week later, some board members started asking about consolidating custody. I thought it was grief politics. Maybe I was stupid. Keene snorted. This is theater. That ledger could be anyone's handwriting. Ms. Alvarez handed the document to the guard. Photograph each page, she said. Then to me, Tasha, where's Namdi? In the conference room, I said, with his backpack. A small cold hand crawled under my ribs. I hurried ahead of them into the hallway. The conference door stood open. The chairs sat where we'd left them. The lion backpack lay on its side, mouth unzipped. A juice box leaned on its straw. Sweating. Namdi? I called, trying to keep my voice gentle. Sweetheart. No answer. I checked under the table, then behind the sliding partition where he liked to hide. The curtains by the French doors fluttered, breathing in and out. I crossed the carpet and touched the handle. Cool metal. The door was unlocked. I stepped onto the stone patio. Warm air pressed against my face. The koi pond flickered with small orange torches. On the paving stones, a trail of bright Lego bricks made a crooked line toward the hedges. My heart dropped into my shoes. Backyard. I shouted, voice cracking. He went outside. The guard spun toward the yard cameras. Feeds up, he said, but his voice didn't sound sure. The screen on the wall showed static that looked like rain, but the sky above us was clear. Somewhere in the distance, an engine idled. Namdi. I called again, following the Lego line to the hedge break. The service road gate beyond the hedges showed a rectangle of streetlight. It stood a few inches open, as if someone had forgotten to push it, until it clicked. Stay inside, David barked. We don't know. I slipped through the hedge before he finished. Gravel bit my flats. Namdi, it's Tasha, I said low and steady. Count to 5 for me, okay? From the shadow near the gate came a tiny voice, almost swallowed by the night. 1, 2, I moved faster. Keep going, baby. 3, 4. I reached the gap in the gate and froze. A hand covered Namdi's mouth. Another arm held him tight against a dark jacket. The man's cap was low, but I knew the broad shoulders. He smelled like engine oil and mint. A second figure stood at the idling SUV's rear door, watching. 5. Namdi whispered against the hand, eyes wide with trust and terror. Uche lifted his head, and for the first time since I'd met him, his eyes held nothing soft. Walk away, Madam GD, he said. This is bigger than babysitting. Uche's grip tightened. Namdi's eyes found mine over that rough palm. Trust-fighting terror. Let him breathe, I said. Hands open. You don't want to scare the boy. Walk away, Uche repeated. His voice had a new metal in it. Keys on the ground. Phone, too. From the SUV's shadow, the second figure shifted. I knew that stance before the face showed. Keen, I said. Step into the light. He half-laughed, kept the dark. You're out of your depth, babysitter. We just need the kid for a few hours. Paperwork, that's all. Paperwork that transfers custody, I said. Brightland told you it was temporary. They lied. He didn't deny it. Phone, Uche snapped. I lifted it slowly, tapped the side, twice like I was considering. Namdi saw my thumb. We had a game. 2 taps meant get ready to count. My voice stayed calm. Uche, you taught him to dribble around flower pots. You could be the man who kept him safe. The money I'm clearing will keep my mother alive, he said, jaw working. This house never even noticed when staff bled. Then take the money you've already taken and leave, I said. Don't add kidnapping to your soul. The hedge rustled behind me. I didn't look back. Namdi, I whispered, just loud enough. Count for me. Lion strong. Uche stiffened. Don't. 1. The boy breathed. The SUV engine hummed. Keen shifted again, impatience leaking into the air. 2. You stall any longer, Keen said, and I'll... 3. I slid my keys inside my palm, the longest between my knuckles like a small claw. Uche's eyes flicked to the movement. Mine stayed on the boy. 4. You move, I yank him, Uche warned. 5. Namdi threw his head back and let out a roar that would have made his lion backpack proud. He bit the web of Uche's hand and kicked hard at the knee the way we practice and play. Uche shouted, grip slipping. I lunged, not at Uche's face, but at his forearm. The keys raked skin. His fingers spasmed. I yanked Namdi free and pivoted my body between them, taking the hit when Uche's other hand lashed out. The gate scraped my shoulder. Pain flash white. Inside, I yelled, shoving Namdi toward the hedge gap. Run to Annie. Footsteps pounded behind me. The guard, David, Annie Beezy's breath already breaking. David swung past me and blocked Keen's path as Keen stepped forward, finally visible, cap low over a face gone mean. What are you doing? David shouted. What you were too slow to do. Keen spat and shoved him. They grappled, brief and ugly. Uche yanked the SUV door. The engine growled, wheels spitting gravel. The guard lunged to the handle and missed by inches as the vehicle fishtailed toward the service road. Keen! Uche barked. Keen threw one last look. At me at the house, at the hedge where Namdi had disappeared, and bolted after the SUV. He didn't make it. The guard tackled him hard into gravel. A phone skittered from Keen's pocket, cracked, and died. Sirens swelled in the distance. Inside, now, Ms. Alvarez ordered, appearing at my shoulder, voice like cold water. She had her own phone to her ear. Detective Bello is en route. We herded back through the hedge. Amaka sobbed with relief, clutching Namdi. I checked his face and hands. Scrape on the wrist, lip trembling, eyes enormous. You were brave, I told him, forehead to his. We counted, We roared. I bit him, he said, surprised and proud. You did, I said, lion strong. The guard cuffed Keen to the patio chair. He spat blood, eyes bright with fury. You think a babysitter will keep what my uncle built? He said to me. You don't even know how deep this goes. Then show us, I said. Start with why Brightland paid Uche 7 weeks in a row. He smiled through red teeth. Ask your new partner. Partner? David said, breathing hard, dust on his suit. Keen lifted his cuffed hands an inch, shrugging. The board doesn't need kidnappings when it has signatures. We moved to the library to wait for police. My shoulder throbbed where the gate had kiss bone. Ms. Alvarez nodded at the black phone from the safe. Power it, she said quietly. If there's more, we need it before anyone wipes anything. The phone blinked awake to a home screen with one app, a plain gray square labeled Open. I tapped it. A video began. Mr. Okeke in the library, shirt sleeves rolled, eyes clear. If you're holding this, Tasha, he said, you chose courage. The first layer of greed is obvious. The second wears a tie. 3 weeks before my stroke, a quiet vote tried to sideline me. The resolution used a digital signature that looks like David's. If he denies it, believe him until proof says otherwise. I suspect the forger used an internal copy of his key. The company secretary keeps backups. Check the board minutes and the metadata on the resolution. Detective Bello knows where to look. David stared at the screen like it had accused him in church. I didn't sign any resolution, he said, voice low. I argued with him about estate planning. Yes, but I didn't, he swallowed. Someone is using my name. Before I could answer, Ms. Alvarez's phone buzzed. She glanced down and her composed face finally cracked. This is the probate clerk, she said. Emergency petition to freeze estate assets effective immediately. Petitioner, David Okeke. Filed 10 minutes ago. David went gray. I didn't file anything. Keen leaned back in chair and smiled a small, satisfied smile. Welcome to the second layer, he said. Sirens wailed closer, washing the windows blue and red. In the hall, Namdi pressed his line to his chest and counted under his breath. Huddled into a Maka's side. 5, he whispered, as the doorbell rang hard enough to shake the glass. If this story has you hooked, tap subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who loves a good twist. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and what you would have done at that gate, walk away or fight for child. The doorbell slammed again, and the foyer washed blue-red. Detective Amina Bello stepped in first, tall, pressed shirt, eyes that missed nothing. 2 uniformed officers flanked her. Another moved to the patio where Keen sat cuffed to the chair. Detective Bello, Ms. Alvarez said, meeting her, we have video, a ledger, and a guardianship letter from the decedent. The child is safe. Good, the detective said. She flashed a quick look at me. You're Tasha Williams? Yes. You have that letter? I handed it over. She read fast, then nodded once. Temporary guardian if internal actors pose a threat. That tracks with what I've been hearing about Brightland. She turned to the patio. Officer, Mirandize him. Keen tried for charm. Detective, we are family. This is an attempted child abduction on private property, she said, clean and flat, and a probable fraud ring. You're under arrest. Out by the hedge, the officer read him his rights. Inside, we crowded into the library. Detective Bello scanned the ledger, then the pause clips on Ms. Alvarez's laptop. Uche Obesai, she said softly. I know the name. She tapped the screen. And these camera outages? Someone inside. A phone vibrated. Ms. Alvarez checked hers and exhaled. Another notice. Emergency freeze on estate. Filed in David's name. Time stamp. 10 minutes before you arrived. David's face sagged. I didn't file anything, detective. I believe you, she said. We'll pull the metadata. Fake filings leave footprints. She looked to me. We're not fighting the whole war tonight. We're getting the boys somewhere safe and preserving evidence. I pointed to the small black phone from the safe. There's a message from Mr. Okeke. He said a resolution was signed with a forged digital key. He told us to call you. She allowed herself a thin smile. Then the old man planned well. She turned crisp. Here's what happens. Officer Nwosu, bag that ledger in the drive. Ms. Alvarez, make read-only copies. Beezy, you and Amaka pack the child. One bag, no delays. David, you stay with me and give a quick statement. Tasha, I'm with the boy, I said. You're with the boy, she agreed. We leave in 10 minutes. My unit will escort. In the hallway, Andy Beezy's hands fluttered. My sister's boy, Rashid, he works nights, she whispered. The ledger wrote, or it might be. A noise cut her off. A metallic clink from the back of the house. Detective Bello lifted her hand. Hold, she said, moving like a cat. We followed the sound to the security room. The door was ajar. Inside, a man in a gray hoodie bent over the DVR rack with a screwdriver, a small hard drive already halfway out. Rashid, Beezy cried before she could stop herself. He flinched, then bolted for the hall. An officer caught his arm. The screwdriver clanged to floor. Detective Bello took the drive from his hand. You came to work on your night off? She asked, even. Or to clean your tracks? Someone called me. He looked at Beezy, shame-fighting fear. Ani, I'm sorry. Beezy's shoulders caved. Who called you, Rashid? He swallowed. A woman. Said she was from Brightland. American accent. Maya. She told me to reset the cameras. That security needed it after the storm. His eyes flicked to Keen outside, then away. She sent money to my account last week. I swear, I didn't know they would take the boy. Detective Bello's pen moved. What number did she use? He gave it. She passed it to an officer. Trace and preserve. We moved fast after that. Amaka dressed Namdi in sneakers and a hoodie, tucked Lion into his arms. I stuffed snacks, a water bottle, 2 picture books, his inhaler, and spare pajamas into backpack. We're going on a sleepover, I told him, keeping my voice bright. We'll count streetlights. He nodded, small chin set. Lion strong. In the garage. We found the second car, as the note said, a low gray sedan under a tarp. Detective Bello walked its length without touching, then motioned to a crime tech. Mirror the undercarriage. The tech slid on a crawler and came out with a black magnet pucked the size of a biscuit. A small red light winked. Tracker, he said. The detective held it up. They meant to follow you. She looked at me. Good thing you didn't just drive out. What now? I asked. A decoy, she said. We'll put this tracker on a city pool car and send it east on the freeway. Meanwhile, you ride out with me in an unmarked minivan. 2 units will follow. Keep your phones off. That black phone, too. If Brightland is pinging anything, we don't feed it. We loaded up. I buckled Namdi into the middle seat. He clutched Lion and watched the house through the window. David leaned into the doorway, face tired, voice low. Tasha, I know I've been guarded. I am not your enemy. Keep my son safe. I will, I said. Tell the truth in whatever room you're in. He nodded. The detective gave the signal. The decoy car peeled out to the main gate, tracker blinking. We slipped down the service road in the opposite direction, headlights off until we hit the dark street. The minivan's engine hummed. The city unfolded. Quiet neighborhoods, late stores, a glint of highway. Namdi counted streetlights in a whisper. 1, 2, 3. At 10, he rested his head on my arm. Are we far? He asked. Not far, I said. We'll be somewhere with hot chocolate. Detective Bello drove like water. Steady, no wasted movement. We're going to a furnished unit under my unit's control, she said. Lease is under a shell. Very few people know it. Ms. Alvarez will meet us there. Then we lock this place down and work the paper trail until it squeals. She took an exit I didn't recognize, cut through a row of quiet warehouses, and pulled into an underground garage beneath a plain building. 2 officers were already there, doors up, lights dark. We rode a key-controlled elevator to the 3rd floor. The hallway smelled like new paint. Last door, the detective said, stopping at a unit with a peephole and 3 separate locks. She slid, keys and quick, sure movements. Lights stay low, she added. Wheel. She stopped. I saw it too. The second lock turned too easily, as if it had been opened from the inside and not thrown home again. The door gave a soft, careless click. My skin went cold. Detective Bello lifted one hand for silence, the other for the officer behind us. She took a breath, then pushed the door wide with her foot, body angled, other hand near her hip. The living room lamp was on, dim, warm. On the studio kitchen counter sat 2 mugs and a box of cocoa, opened. A faint music box melody tinkled from somewhere near the window, sweet and off-tempo. The curtains breathed in a slow draft. Stay behind me, the detective said, voice a shade lower. The officer slid left and right, clearing spaces with quiet signals. I held Namdi in the doorway, my heart trying to climb my throat. On the coffee table lay a slim, used paperback. I knew the color before I read the title, palm wine letters. A paper strip stuck out like a tongue. The detective stepped forward, pinched the strip, and lifted a small white card into view. On it, in neat print, were 4 words that shouldn't have been there at all. You're late. Try again. No one breathed. Detective Bello's gaze went cold and narrow, moving from the cocoa dust on the counter to the music box's sweet, wrong notes. She touched the side of one mug with a knuckle and hissed. Still warm. They were here minutes ago. She pointed, and the officers flowed, one to the bedroom, one to the bathroom, one to the balcony. I stayed at the threshold with Namdi tucked to my hip. His heartbeat thudded against my ribs. Hands on his ears, the detective said softly. I did, and she flipped the music box. A tiny panel on the underside held a SIM tray and a pinhole. The tech peeled back, felt with tweezers, and whistled. Mic and GPS. It pings when the door opens. Bag it, she said. Power the place down. Lights clicked off, except a thin spill from the hall. The tech climbed a chair and twisted the smoke detector. Inside, a black eye glinted. He freed a wafer camera and passed it down. So the apartment is blown, Bello said. We pivot. She held my eyes in the dim. Tasha, they're good, but they're not ghosts. Every device leaves a trail. Every payment leaves a name. We'll get there. Right now, we disappear again. Where? I asked. Somewhere no one would look for a billionaire's heir, she said. A church basement we use in storms. We move like a small army. In the garage, the officers swapped plates with a battered minivan that looked like it had ferried 100 choir practices. Our convoy thinned, one tail, no lights, radios off. The city at night widened and emptied. Nambi's hands loosened on my shirt as we passed dark storefronts and all-night laundromat spinning tired shirts. Count the blue doors, I whispered. 1, 2. We turned into the lot of a low brick church with a cracked bell. A side door opened before we reached it. A woman in a gray sweatshirt and a scarf stepped out, keys at her belt. You're late, she said, then caught herself. Sorry, habit. I'm Pastor Ruth. Come. Down 2 flights into a wide, clean basement lined with cots and toy bins. The air smelled like mop water and cinnamon. A paper sign read community room. Pastor Ruth locked the door behind us and slid a bolt I hadn't seen. Phone's in the bread box, she said, tapping a tin on the counter. Signals a rumor down here, and that's on purpose. Amaka spread a blanket on a cot. Namdi crawled in, shoes still on, lying under his chin. Pastor Ruth gave him a foam cup of something warm. Secret recipe, she said. Chocolate and a little cinnamon. Don't tell the angels. Lion strong, he mouthed, sleepy and fierce, and drank. Ms. Alvarez arrived 5 minutes later. Hair frizzed from hurry. Judge on call signed a temporary guardianship order naming Tasha. She said quietly, pulling a sheet from her bag. It lasts 72 hours, or until a hearing. We'll be first on the docket. The emergency freeze petition was retracted. Filed from a kiosk IP across town with a Ford DUI on David's record stapled to it like decoration. I've already sent the clerk our evidence. Someone wants chaos, not custody, Bello said. They want time to move money. Brightland, Ms. Alvarez and I said together. Bello nodded. We ran the Maya number through a pen register. Calls forward to 3 burners and a VoIP account paid with prepaid cards. She looked at David, who had come separately with an officer, face gray, tie crooked. Your own counsel at Okeke Holdings? Resigned an hour ago, he said. Email bounced. The board secretary, Elliot Ward, won't answer. The board WhatsApp is temporarily archived. That means they're stacking signatures. Ms. Alvarez opened her laptop, running on battery. Send me last month's board minutes. He forwarded them from a secure police terminal. She pulled up the PDF and opened properties. Numbers scrolled, small and chill. Created on a Brightland Tower network, she said. IP resolves to Suite 1803. Brightland's general counsel floor, Bello added. Name on the lease? Trent Legal Partners. Ms. Alvarez said. Managing partner, Maya Trent. The name settled in the room like a stone dropped in a well. Pastor Ruth folded her arms. Money changes hats, she said. Spirit doesn't. Bello's phone buzzed once. An officer upstairs on the church steps, eyes on the street. She texted with 2 fingers and looked back at us. We'll use their habits against them, she said. They're watching for big moves. Bank triggers, gate cameras, high rises. We'll feed them a story so tasty they can't help but bite. She turned to David. How often did you meet in person with Elliot? Every Tuesday, a storage unit near the port, he said. Paper files. He believed in fireproof backups. Bello's mouth made a small half-smile. We'll announce, through the compromised email, they think you don't know we see, that you're meeting Elliot tonight at that unit to collect originals. We'll set our own eyes 3 units down. If they show, we pick fruit. Bait, I said. Better word, proof, she replied. Namdi slept. Finally, breath small and even, I eased lying back under his cheek. In the quiet, I heard my mother's voice from years ago, after my father walked out. Courage is not noise, Tasha. It's feet that keep moving when sound will betray you. Bello divided us. David, you're with me at the port. Ms. Alvarez, stay with Tasha and the child. Officers Moyo, Enchin guard the stairwell and the alley. Pastor, anyone asks, you never saw us. We leave no paper crumbs. David paused at my cot. Whatever happens tonight, he said, voice low, if anyone says I signed away my son, believe the man in front of you, not the email. I will, I said, bring back the truth. They left, soft steps, door bolt setting back with solid old-fashioned finality. The basement settled into the quiet of late exhaustion. I dozed sitting up, one hand on the edge of Nambi's blanket. A small sound woke me, a tune like a memory you almost catch. Not the music box. This one was thinner, chittering. I thought it was a pipe. Then I saw the tiniest blink through canvas, a red, winking inside the lion-stitched belly like a heartbeat. My mouth went dry. I slid a finger along the seam. Rougher thread crossed the original stitches, an extra line, almost invisible, done by a careful hand. Someone had sewn something into the toy. I lifted Lion gently, brought him under the stairwell light, and pressed with my thumb. A little cylinder clicked under the stuffing. Ms. Alvarez, I whispered, throat tight. Look. She came fast, face blanking into something professional and afraid. I cut the seam with nail scissors from the first aid kit. Stuffing fluffed out like cloudy breath. Inside, tucked against the fabric like a seed, lay a black capsule the size of a battery. A tiny LED winked. Next to it, wrapped in tape, lay a folded scrap of paper. Pastor Ruth shut off the basement lights. Hold your breath, she said. They can't sniff us if we don't stink. Ms. Alvarez used tweezers to lift the capsule into a foil-lined bread tin. The LED went from bold to faint. She pressed the lid down and slid it into the church's metal oven, like communion, for a different kind of hunger. The tin sat there, contained. I unfolded the paper. In tight block letters, don't make this hard. Pier 17. 2 a.m. come alone. The old bell above us gave a slow, tired bong as the clock upstairs tripped 2. In the silence after, my phone buzzed inside the bread box where we dumped our devices. Just once, a stubborn insect. The black phone. It had powered itself on. The black phone buzzed in the bread box like a trapped insect. Screen lighting itself, though no one touched it. A number with no digits flashed. Then a voice came through the tiny speaker, cool and sanded flat. Pier 17. 2 a.m. Come alone. Bring the drive. Ms. Alvarez snapped the lid shut. We don't answer on that thing. We answer by choosing the ground. I said, call Detective Bello. Past her roof slid an old landline across the counter. Ms. Alvarez dialed the number Bello had left. In under a minute, the detective was on speaker, engine noise low behind her. Don't go alone, Bello said. But go. Decoy drive only. I'll have eyes at the pier and the storage unit. David's already en route. What are they watching the church? I asked. They were, she said. Not anymore. Your tin oven trick saved you. Keep the capsule cold in there. Alvarez, you stay with the boy. Tasha, you'll wear a button mic. No phones. If they frisk you, let them find the empty drive. Count slow if you get spooked. My team will be listening. She arrived 10 minutes later with a coffee-stained minivan that looked invisible by design. She clipped a coin-sized transmitter under my collar and pressed a plastic thumb drive into my palm. Blank, she said. Looks real. Don't improvise heroics. I like planned courage. I said. Pastor Ruth touched my shoulder. Feet steady. Truth steady. We rolled through sleeping streets toward the docks. The sky over the port glowed a tired orange. Cranes stood like patient giants. At the edge of Pier 17, Bello killed the headlights and pointed. Walk to the yellow bollard. Stop. If they try to move you, stall. My people are 2 angles out and on the catwalk. You'll hear nothing from us. That's on purpose. Lying strong, I whispered and stepped into the wind. The pier smelled of salt and hot metal cooling. Water slapped pilings. A lamp near the bollard hummed and flickered. I kept my hands visible. Fog rolled close to the water like breath. Footsteps behind me, then to my left. Uche slid from shadow, hood up, eyes hard. 2 other men fanned out. One near the forklift, one by a stack of blue containers. Uche patted me down impersonal. Quick. His fingers brushed the seam where the mic sat. He missed it. He took the drive. Where's the boy? He asked. Safe, I said. We needed 30 minutes, he said, bitterness rough. Just long enough to sign what needed signing. That's kidnapping by any other name, I said. A woman's voice came from above, cool as on the phone. I looked up. On the catwalk that ran along the warehouse edge, a figure leaned on the rail, hair in a tight twist, coat belted neat. Even at a distance, authority hung on her like perfume. Maya Trent, I said. Some introductions do themselves, she replied. You cost me an easy week, Ms. Williams. I do not enjoy explaining delays to people who pay by the hour and the decade. Uche held up the drive. We have what she brought. Test it, Maya said. We won't play scavenger. The man by the forklift flipped open a rugged laptop on the forklift seat, slotted the drive, tapped keys. His face twitched. On his screen, a single file appeared. He double-clicked. A photo of Lion in his backpack filled the display, cartoon bright, with 5 numbers under it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing else. It's a joke, he said. Or a delay, Maya said. Where's the real drive, Ms. Williams? The ledger? The phone? Where they belong? I said. With the law. Maya smiled and reached her eyes. Law is a ladder, she said. We wrote several of its rungs. Uche's jaw worked. We can search her again. You can waste my time, Maya corrected. She looked down at me. This can still be simple. We frame you as a disgruntled staffer who stole a child. We step in as rescuers. The court thanks us for our trouble. Or you hand over the originals that make your story sing. You go back to babysitting with a generous severance. Your call. You hired men to lift a child out a window. I said. You put a tracker in his toy. You followed us into a safe apartment. Nothing about you is rescue. Proof of any of that lives on devices, she said. Devices can drown. I heard my own breath. I made it slow, in a mic at my collar. The quiet must have sounded like space. I kept my eyes on Uche. She's using you, I said. When this goes bad, her name will be footnote small. Yours will be headline big. Enough? Maya said, still creeping in. She lifted a hand toward the man at the forklift. Bring Ms. Williams to me. He hopped down, jerking his chin. Move. I didn't move. The water tapped the pier like a clock. Somewhere a gull cried once, annoyed. I said very softly, because I knew who was listening, 1. Uche's head cocked a degree. Habit fought along his jaw. 2. I breathed. The forklift operator frowned. What? 3. From the roofline beyond the catwalk, a shadow shifted. Another shadow answered. Feet above me ticked metal quiet. 4. The forklift man grabbed my arm. I took 1 step. Not enough to be dragged, enough to be counted. 5, I said. Light exploded. Not gunfire. Floods. Sirens carved the dark. Police? A voice at concrete multiplied. Hands where we can see them. The man by the containers bolted left. The one at the forklift went right. Uche turned, then turned back, eyes on me as if the rest were static. For a half-breath, something almost like regret crossed his face. Don't, I said. He moved anyway, toward the blue stack, fast. Uche Obesai. Detective Bellows' voice cut clean from somewhere I couldn't see. Stop. Maya did not run. She stood on the catwalk, coat still perfect. Counsel, she called as if ordering tea. Consider your angles. You're done, Bellows said. Step down. Maya showed her empty hands and smiled. You're late, detective. Try again. Above her, a crane's motor started with a grinding cough. Chains clanked. The top container on the blue stack groaned, shifted as if someone had kicked a leg out from a table. The forklift man, scrambling, had clipped a lever. The twist locks hissed. Metal complained. Move, someone shouted. I jumped back, my heel snagged. Uche at the edge of the stack, looked once toward me and then vanished behind steel. The container slid, shuddered, and began to tilt. For an instant the world narrowed to rusted corners and a falling wall of blue. I threw my arms over my head, tasted salt, felt the pier buck under my feet, and the container came down. The container crashed down like thunder. The pier shook, rust dust stung my eyes. Detective Bellow yanked me behind a piling as sparks skittered over concrete. Light swept the chaos. The forklift driver groaned with a twisted ankle. In the shadow of the blue stack, Uche lay pinned from the thigh down, jaw locked against pain. Don't move, Bellow called. She swung her beam to the catwalk. Where Maya had stood, only a swinging rail and the echo of retreating heels. A door banged shut somewhere up the service stairs. Help him, I said, pointing at Uche. Officers chalked the container and jacked a corner just enough to wedge his leg free. He hissed, sweat bright on his brow. Bellow knelt beside him. Uche Obesai, you're under arrest for conspiracy to kidnap and tamper with security devices. Where's Maya going? He stared at the sky, then gave it up. Brightland Tower, 1803. Back office under Trent Legal Partners. Private elevator. If she can't reach the drives, she'll reach the minutes. Bellow keyed her radio. Unit 2. Storage site. Lock popped, paper ash on floor, came back. Half-burned folder labeled minutes, draft. Silver Brightland sedan left 10 minutes ago. We pivot to tower, Bellow said, rising. To me. You remember the suite? 1803, I said. Trent Legal Partners. As they strapped Uche for transport, he grabbed my sleeve with a cold hand. Keep the boy away from glass walls, he rasped. They like glass because it looks clean. Lion strong, I whispered and ran with the team. Brightland Tower cut the night like a mirror. 2 unmarked units idled dark at the curb. Ms. Alvarez jogged up with a signed order. Judge approved a limited search, she said. Board minutes, backup drives, and any device tied to David's digital key. We slipped through the service entrance, concrete instead of marble, and rode a keyed elevator to a quiet floor that smelled of lemon and paper. Tenant services. Open into Trent Legal Partners. Frosted glass, soft chairs, a bowl of white stones. Room by room, we cleared. In one office, KX Logistics Compliance. Alvarez bagged it. In another, a coat on a chair, lipstick print on a mug. Perfume hung in the air I recognized from the pier. Here, I said. The desk was surgical. On a credenza sat a sleek card-lock safe. Above it, a canvas print of Legos Island at Dusk. Bello lifted the print with a letter opener. No safe. Wires and a thumb-sized device tapping network traffic. Traffic splitter, the tech murmured. They mirrored board data off-site, so they listened before they forged. Alvarez said jaw tight. Bello radioed the engineer. Lights dipped as building power cycled. The safe chirped awake. The tech bridged 2 points. The keypad light turned green. 2 minutes, he whispered. Alvarez keyed 1-8-0-3. The lock slid. Inside, a binder stamped board minutes, originals, sealed envelopes, and a clear tray of security tokens labeled D.O. Keke, Ida Ward, M. Trent, admin. Bag them, Bello said. Seal the safe. Make the scene look boring. A soft clink in reception froze us. A key card slid. The lock chirped. Maya stepped through, coat perfect, gaze cool. She took in a room like a chessboard. Detective, she said mildly. We've had a break-in. You missed it, Bello replied. Hands where I can see them. Maya raised them, unfussed. Your warrant is narrow. You can't take what isn't named. We're taking the forger's toys, Bello said, nodding at the tokens and the tap. And those minutes. Maya's eyes grazed me. You move quickly for a babysitter. Was the peer decoy your idea or hers? Courts enjoy attributing control. The court enjoys truth, I said. You don't. A small smile. Courts also enjoy optics. A foster care note from your teens would make a tidy sidebar. But never mind. You think minutes save you? Money is plumbing. We rerouted the pipes already. Where? Alvarez asked. Look for structures that don't match their shadows, Maya said. Bello stepped closer. Maya Trent, you're under arrest of conspiracy, evidence tampering, unlawful surveillance, and attempted kidnapping by proxy. Maya turned her wrists like surrendering a coat. Arrest away, she said. Primary colors flatter me. The cuffs clicked. As officers turned her, she glanced back at me. Ask your benefactor one last thing, she said. Who wrote the first draft of the will naming you, and why he burned it? Before I could answer, a phone on the desk vibrated. Not a ring, just a steady buzz like something knocking from inside a drawer. Caller ID flashed private, then shifted to one word. Namdi. Ice poured down my spine. Our phones were sealed in a tin bread box under a church. The tracker capsule lay cooling in an oven. Namdi slept 2 floors below a crack bell. I picked up. A child's whisper threaded the line. Miss Tasha, he said. Lion is singing again. The room tilted. Pastor Ruth's basement had no signal by design. If Lion was singing, someone had put another capsule in his toy or placed a live mic nearby. Either way, someone was close. Bello's eyes met mine. We both understood. The fight had just reached the place we thought was safest. If this chapter gripped you, tap subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who loves twisty folk tales. Tell us where you're watching from and what you would have done at Brightland Tower. Walk away or push for the truth. I kept my voice level. Namdi, it's me. Can you count for me? 1, 2, 3. The whisper thinned, as if he turned his head. A faint chiming bled to the line. Sweet, tinny, too close to be imagination. Detective Bello mouthed. Go. We were already moving. Down the service lift, out to the car, lights dark. Ms. Alvarez stayed behind to seal the minutes and tokens with a deputy and filed a receipt. My hands would not stop shaking, so I made them count slow against my thigh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We cut across sleeping streets. The church bell tower slid into view, a black shape against orange sky glow. No siren. Bello told the driver. Side alley. Moyo on the door. Officer Moyo was a shadow by the bolt. His whisper was tight. Lock looks clean, but someone ran a magnet over the frame. Maybe tried to trip the reed switch. We kept it dead-bolted. No movement on the exterior cams. Open, Bello said. We slid inside. The stairwell smelled like dust and old hymns. Down 2 flights. Pastor Ruth met us with a flashlight under her chin like a camp story. He's awake, she breathed. Said Lion started singing again. I checked the oven tin. Your capsule's still there. Quiet. This is something else. We moved into the basement. The light stayed off. The room held its own hush. In the cot's half-light, Namdi sat up, Lion clutched to his chest, eyes too big for his face. You called me, I said, kneeling. That was brave. It sang, he whispered, like at the other place. I pressed Lion to my ear. There, a faint metronome chirp, not the first device's LED, but something deeper, muffled by stuffing. I ran my fingers along the seams we had cut before. Clean. I squeezed the ear. The chirp grew, almost proud. Second seam, I said. Other ear. Pastor Ruth handed me the nail scissors. I slit the ear's base. A black pill rolled into my palm. Thinner than the first, a different make. Its LED winked with smug patience. Into the tin, Bello said. Ruth had the foil-lined bread tin ready. We dropped the capsule, closed the lid, slid the tin to the oven. The sound cut to a dull insect click, and then nothing. Namdi's hand still shook. Lion is broken? He asked. Lion is brave, I said. Sometimes bravery looks like keeping quiet. Bello swept her light over vents, the smoke detector, the baseboards. The detector here was a dumb disc, no lens behind the grill. The vent had dust like unbothered gray snow. No third eyes, she murmured. Whoever called the office phone wanted to rattle you. Or confirm we'd hear it. Ms. Alvarez said, arriving breathless with an officer and a dull gray evidence bag. Minutes and token secure. Judge's clerk logged the receipt. Namdi lay back, still watching my hands. I smoothed Lion's face to calm him, and felt a roughness under the paw. Not a foreign stitch, an original seam double-knotted, thicker than its twin. I frowned. The first capsule had been sewn with quick, tight thread. This knot was clumsier, familiar. Hold the light, I said. I teased, open the paw seam. Out slid a different kind of hidden thing. A tiny plastic sleeve, heat-sealed. Inside, a micro SD card and a paper strip folded small. On the strip, in the steady, neat hand I knew. For Tasha, Pastor Ruth's eyes shone. The grandfather, she whispered. Bello nodded once. Air-gap machine only, she said. No power, no network, card in, then power on. Ruth produced an ancient laptop from a shelf, beige, plastic scarred, battery dead. Old hurricane kit, she said, proud. Never sees the internet. We set it on the folding table. Bello unplugged Ethernet, checked the Wi-Fi switch, off. She slid the micro SD into a USB adapter, inserted it, and only then connected the power. The laptop whirred like a patient animal that still remembered moving. The screen bloomed. A single folder appeared. Lion. Inside, one file, video.mp4. I felt my throat lock. Play, I said. Mr. Okeke filled the screen. Library behind him. Shirt sleeves rolled. Tie off. His eyes were clear, a little tired, the way they looked after he read to Namdi, and the boy finally slept. If you are watching this, he said, then the first will I wrote is Ash. No one breathed. I drafted a will that named my nephew Keen as caretaker and my son David as executor. That draft lived on a drive in this very room for 3 days. In those 3 days, a resolution I never authorized appeared with David's digital key. At the same time, a copy of my draft was opened from an IP in Brightland Tower. I burned it that night and started again, on paper, in a ledger, with witnesses who know what they saw. He leaned closer. Tasha, I did not choose you to insult my blood. I chose you because you protected the boy with your body when the window latch lifted, and because you told me the truth when silence would have made you safer. If this video reaches you, it means Brightland used the structures with wrong shadows trick. Here is what I mean. He lifted a diagram, simple boxes and arrows and pen. Our foundation grants flow through 3 shells, a school trust, a clinic endowment, and a logistics consultancy. If numbers in the public tax filings do not match what the bank ledger says went out, someone has built a shadow below the floor. The shadow here is called Anaya Education Partners. The letters look like A and Y, a foundation, you know, but there's an extra A and another bank. Ms. Alvarez's mouth tightened. Of course, she murmured, off by 1 naming. Oldest trick. If David's key appears on any document rerouting funds, the video continued, assume the key was copied from the secretary's backup. You will likely find a traffic tap behind a picture and physical tokens in a safe. If you have the admin token, you can force a read-only mirror the accounts. The password is the first word the boy learned to count to because his Tasha kept him brave. Bello looked at me. I swallowed. 5, I said. Good. The man on the screen said, as if he had heard me through time. If the lion sings a second time, you are not safe where you are. Do not go higher. Go lower. Churches remember how to hide people. There's a storage crawl space under the community room. The hatch is behind the low blue bookshelf. Keep the boy with you. Call Detective Bello before you move. And Tasha, do not carry this alone. Pride is slow poison. Use your smallness. The video flickered. Mr. Okeke sat back. If you are with the boy, tell him I love him to 5. If you're alone, then tell him at the next sunrise. Either way, finish this. The file ended. The laptop fan spun down to a whisper. We stare at the low blue bookshelf. Pastor Ruth moved first, dragging it aside. A square cut into the concrete yawned under a rubber mat. Handholds carved into the edges. A chain for pulling. Lower, Bello said. Moyo, Chun, cover the stairs and alley. Alvarez, begin to mirror with the admin token. No network until I say. Tasha, you and the boy go now. I lifted Namdi, lion tucked tight, and lowered into the cool dark. The crawl space smelled of dust and old paint. Above me, Ruth and Bello eased the mat back into place. The room went almost black, a thin line of light at the seam. Nambi's breath ticked in my ear. You said sunrise, he whispered. Is it far? Not far, I said. We'll count to it. Through the mat, a sound rose, the church door bolt shivering under a sudden, careful pressure. Not banging. Testing. Bello's voice was a ghost through concrete. Units, we have company. The bolt creaked a millimeter. Another careful push. A whisper of rubber on floor. And then, from somewhere above the hatch, a new sound bit the night. The flat, merciless chime of a time transfer alarm coming from Ms. Alvarez's laptop. The mirror is live, she called. Her voice shook, and so is a scheduled outflow. 30 minutes to move the entire child's trust into Anaya. 30 minutes. A bolt testing. A boy counting against my shoulder. We did not have room for one wrong breath. The bolt above us shivered. Dust fell like flour. I held Namdi tight and felt his breath on my neck. Count with me? I whispered. Quiet counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He murmured into lion's fur. Up in the room, Detective Bello's voice moved like a blade. Moyo on the door. Chin cover the alley. Alvarez talked to bank now. Network coming up, Ms. Alvarez said. Admin token ready. The laptop chimed again, a warning tone that made my stomach knot. Scheduled transfer, 30 minutes. What bank? Bello asked. First guarantee, Alvarez answered. Destination, Anaya Education Partners, routing through a shadow account at a logistics company. Put them on speaker, Bello said. I heard a click, then a calm voice. Fraud operations? This is Detective Amina Bello, HBD, she said, professional and flat. Court order in hand. We have your customer Mr. Okeke's admin security token and evidence of a forged resolution. An emergency transfer must be stopped and the trust accounts frozen for review. Authenticate, the voice replied. Alvarez read numbers from the order. Token challenge is up, she said. Code. I looked at Lion, at the boy, at the dust. 5, I said. The token generated a 6-digit code. Alvarez read it. Secondary word? The bank asked. Williams. Alvarez said, and then countersign? The trustee. David's voice came from somewhere near the stairs. David Okeke present. I did not authorize this transfer. Freeze it. Understood. The bank said after a beat. We see the schedule. Cancel command received. Trust accounts are on hold pending law enforcement review. Reference number. She read it. I breathed for the first time in a minute. Metal clinked. The door upstairs took a hard push. Police! Moyo barked. Hands high. A scuffle thumped. Something toppled. A voice I didn't know swore. Another said, Don't shoot, don't shoot. Boots scuffed. The bolt slammed home again. Clear. Moyo called. 2 in cuffs. 1 with a Brightland badge. The other, Ward. Elliot Ward. Alvarez blew out air. The board's secretary. Bellows' voice came down through the concrete. Bring them to the table. Tasha, stay low a little longer. Namdi's fingers pressed my collar. Is the sun here? He asked. Almost, I said. We'll meet it. Upstairs, chair scraped. Alvarez spoke low and hard. Mr. Ward, we found a traffic tap and the tokens in Maya Trent's office. We have your key. We have minutes in your handwriting. Tell the truth now. I heard the tired break in a man's voice. She said it was only paper, Elliot muttered. She said the money would still go to schools, just with more efficiency. Where are the shadow accounts? Alvarez asked. He gave names. The hum of the old laptop changed as files mirrored to a safe drive. Bello read each out loud, steady as a metronome, and the bank officer on the phone confirmed freezes one by one. The concrete warmed under my palm. I looked at the seam of light around the hatch. It thinned from charcoal to gray. Namdi leaned into me, heavy with the kind of tire that follows fear. When Bello finally lifted the mat, morning had started to color the little basement windows. Come up, she said. It's safe. We climbed into cheap light and coffee smells. Pastor Ruth handed me a needle and thread from a tin. For Lion, she said. I stitched the ear back with small, neat bites while Namdi watched, eyes huge and calm. The seam was visible, a thin new line. Brave remark. I told him. He nodded solemnly, then tucked Lion under his chin and counted to 5 like a prayer. By noon the day had collected itself. Officers moved like a tide in and out of the church. A paramedic checked my shoulder. Uche called from the hospital. His voice was hoarse. I signed a statement, he said. I'm sorry. He named handlers, drop spots, passwords. He asked about the boy. I told him Namdi was safe. He began to cry in small, hard breaths and hung up. Keen kept his smile for the cameras as they led him from the house to the car, then dropped it when the door shut. Charges stuck to him like burrs. Maya stood in court in a clean suit and said not guilty like a line she had practiced. The judge read our clips and logs and tokens. He read the guardianship letter and the video from the lion's paw. He read the minutes we had saved from the safe. He looked at me over his glasses. Ms. Williams, do you accept the duties that come with this will? He asked. My voice felt very small and very sure. I do, I said. He nodded. The court recognizes the will and emergency guardianship. Ms. Williams is confirmed co-trustee with Mr. David Okeke for the child's care and the foundation's integrity until the case is settled. Outside, David stood with his hands deep in his pockets. The sun made him squint. I owe you an apology, he said, and my thanks. You kept my son alive, and you kept my father's name clean. You kept calling, I said. You showed up. That counts. He swallowed. Be co-guardian with me, he said. Not just in paper. In house, in choices. You know what matters to the boy. I did not have to think. Yes, I said. We went back to River Oaks when the locks were changed and the cameras replaced. We ate jollof in the bright kitchen and argued about Lego on the floor. Amaka framed the crayon drawing and hung it by the library door. Auntie Beezy redid the rota with fair breaks and better pay. The koi pond looked like fire at sunset. I walked the stone path where fear had once tripped my steps and felt the ground solid again. In the library, the safe sat open and empty, like a mouth done speaking. On the desk waited the letter that began it all. Do not fear your smallness. I learned what everything meant. It was not the house or the accounts. It was this: a child who counted to 5 when the night pressed in, a promise to tell the truth when quiet would be easier, a name on a paper that asked me to be brave in rooms that did not expect me to stand. At bedtime, Namby pressed Lion's clean seam and looked at me. Grandpa said, "Tell me, I love you to 5, he whispered. He did, I said. I heard him. We counted together, slow and steady. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that small sound, the house breathed easy again. I had taken a job to watch a boy. I had been given a family, a fight, and a future to guard. I did not feel big. I felt ready. We turned off the lamp. The room went soft and dark. Somewhere far away a ship horned the end of day. I held the door until his breath was even. Then I walked back down the hall toward the life I had not known was mine, keeping time with the only thing that had never failed us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thanks for watching.